Perfect. So I guess we should kick off, respect the time of everybody that's on here. So welcome everybody onto the call today, onto this webinar from three very fine CEOs that we have on the call. So we have from Valigara, we have Igor, who's got a ton of experience in the e-commerce industry. What are you pointing down for? Igor to say something.
Go that, as Igor.
Well, so, I have a lot to say, so let's better know.
Yeah, so we're going to just have a bit of a chat, listen to these guys, answer some questions, and what's kind of happening within the industry. But Igor is one of the most recognized worldwide online marketing specialists in the jewelry industry. He's a veteran, has managed more than 100 online jewelry stores, 15 years of e-commerce experience. In fact, he was one of the first eBay employees in Israel, from what I can recall. But also, he's a founder of Valigara Online Jewelry Manager. It's a leading jewelry e-commerce platform that we have. So also we've got Dennis on the call today. Dennis got, again, a wealth of experience. As Andrew points to the guy in the middle, give us a wave, Dennis. So Dennis has, over 38 years experience at CEO level, in corporate finance, brand management, licensing. He's created a range of children's consumer products and created a new product category that today claims revenues of 1.2 billion in the US alone. So a lot of experience there from Dennis. And of course, we have our own Andrew Rowson, who is the CEO of Emotive. And again, just, what can you say? Lots of experience and probably over 3 decades of experience of e-commerce, and has taken many businesses and supported many businesses in being able to be successful online as well. So very exciting to have the three guys chatting with us today. So let's get on with our presentation. What I'll do is just pull up our screen and kind of share the agenda with everybody as well. Just give me 2 minutes to be able to do that, and then we'll be able to, hang on, 2 seconds. technical glitches. Where do we go? Here we go. Share screen. There we go.
It's like Celebrity Squares.
Yeah. Now, hopefully, now you can see the screen. So today's CEO Town Hall, prepare to embrace change. We're all going through some exciting times at the moment, or challenging times. So it's certainly be good to kind of talk through this. So I guess first of all, we've kind of gone through the introduction. Our agenda today to talk about internet buying trends for Q1. Is this going to continue? When are things going to get back to normal? What's happened to Amazon over this period of time? Countries that have affected, with shopping pattern changes, ways to embrace these changes. And, we've certainly had a lot of questions come in prior, but also if you do have questions as we go along, feel free just to type it into the Q&A section as we go through this webinar. So let's get started with kind of Q1 trends. And it'd be great to hear from the three guys on, what they're kind of seeing from internet buying in Q1. So maybe Dennis, you can just talk a little bit about what you're kind of seeing from your business in Q1.
Absolutely. Well, from the fulfillment side, warehouse distribution fulfillment side, we've seen the curves go in 2 different directions. Any of our clients that were, of course, heavily vested in retail are having some difficult times right now, no question, with store closures and cutbacks and that sort of thing. However, just the opposite. Online is going through the roof. Any of our customers that were heavily vested in e-commerce or direct to consumer marketing based just really couldn't keep up with the demand. The opposite problem happened there about getting enough product for that demand. So we see an obviously huge trend shifting toward direct to consumer, and then everyone trying to keep up with that trend at the moment.
Fantastic. And how about Igor? What are you seeing at the moment?
So so we see also different stuff happening in multiple directions. So specifically for the jewelry industry, there are many storms are happening on the offering side. There are some problems with the diamonds offering, and because of the diamond industry is very much related to traveling of people between the countries. So we see on one side very challenging times on the offering side. People cannot simply produce because they don't get diamonds. So it's interesting to see this. On the other side, of course, the internet is going very active, and especially interesting what I think that happens now again because of the logistics, as Dennis said, because of the problems with the logistic, the omni-channel, the combination of the online and the retail, the local retail, these are basically the businesses that gain the most attention. So this is very interesting. So what we can say, well, as the CEO of Etsy said in the beginning of April, that the purchasing is back to normal after, of course, the shock of the second and third week of March, when everyone was somewhere undercover and complete stillness. But already in the beginning of April, Etsy said that it's back to normal, and you can think about it that people who are going to marry, well, they can maybe postpone, but not for long. So from this perspective, we're glad to be in this industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. And Andrew, how about yourself? You know, from a managed service point of view, what are the sort of things that you're seeing there?
Yeah, so off the back of Christmas before COVID, it was pretty strong in what we call the mature e-commerce territory, such as the US, Europe, and then also double-digit growth on emerging ones, such as Eastern Europe, India, and areas like that. And then we kind of hit a brick wall in certain categories, which we'll discuss a little bit more. It's one of the questions in later on, but we saw 3-digit growth in categories relating to the home towards the back end of Q1. So pet care, believe it or not, sports equipment, home and garden, toys, things such as luxury items, which reflects a little bit, which Igor was saying, kind of went down and flatlined. And then we saw a few blips as well, depending on where the trader's reliant on. So where there's distribution challenges, such as, again, Eastern Europe, areas like Russia, and Australia, where they're relying on imported items in. That kind of slowed down, but then gathered pace coming into Q2 as we got used to COVID as well and got used to the distribution and got used to how it was working. But yeah, at the end of Q1, pretty much everything was strong online. Bricks and mortar flatlined for obvious reasons.
Yeah, so I guess on the question, yeah, one of the questions that we had was, has the pandemic seen an increase on all online platform, or is there specific market trends? So just, I guess for three of you guys, just very quickly in one sentence, what's your kind of thought on that? You know, so has the pandemic seen an increase on all online platforms, or is there a specific trend?
I'll take that question first. I would say yes, across the board, there's been an increase. Obviously, certain products are increasing at a faster rate and a higher velocity than others, but across the board, I think you're seeing an increase on all product areas. And then I think on the consumer segments, I'm getting reports that even sweet little old grandmothers who've never ordered online before and maybe a little challenged are now forced to do this, and I know personally some, and they're actually enjoying the experience once they've gotten past the learning curve, right? So I think that's a whole nother trend that we need to look at, that the elderly population is probably going to be a lot more savvy online now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can only say that this is completely what happened. So after the going down for a few weeks, and it was interesting actually to see that as the corona was spreading all over the world, so we experienced here in Israel a few weeks earlier than, let's say, the US market, and we could see how the market followed this going completely down for three, 4 weeks. And then actually when we speak about it, will it be back to normal? Well, there will not be back. The normal will be different. So the normal, including the corona, including the online, it will be the new thing. And when I saw my wife actually buying, the groceries online first time with all her, how I will buy potatoes with that and the tomatoes without touching them. I think that this is the major thing, and I agree with Dennis completely, because especially also in the jewelry field, right? The big money is of course in the 40+ market. So we have the engagement market, which is they are for a long time already online, but this addition of the fine and the diamonds market now with the 40+ people, it's I think it's crucial. So we're like 10 years fast forward from this perspective, all markets.
So quickly then, just to add on to those points, all online platforms saw increases. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so whether we're looking at Magento, Shopify, eBay, Amazon, and the localized ones, they saw increases. What was interesting, and I think this is an opportunity, is areas where it was slow growth online actually exponentially saw a massive growth. So we're talking about Americas, Mexico, South America, where people were forced to buy things online, which echoes my colleagues' thoughts. Eastern Europe, which is where I'm based, people are buying online where they didn't buy because of local barriers such as trust, cash, ways to pay. That all went out the window, and we've now broken that barrier, and that will continue on as we move forward. So, we've got no major supermarkets offering shopping online, buying shopping. That will change this year for sure here. So, I think the winner will be online, and you've got to get yourself everywhere to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Great. Good. Okay. So let's kind of move on a little bit. There's a lot of interest in this kind of, will this continue, and when will things get back to normal? So, what I'll do here is let me just ask some of the questions that we've had kind of sent into us, So what industries, let's start with Andrew and your thoughts there. What industries are poised to rebound a lot quicker than others, as in essential versus non-essential needs?
Yeah, so there's been a few barriers. Amazon has just got stronger throughout this, and they've then controlled things. So they've stopped FBA on certain lines. That's been released now. People have been forced to look at different options if they're classed as non-essential. And that interpretation is different around the world. Automotive is essential in the US, but not in Europe. The masks, I've never seen, I've got a collection of masks here where, I can't go to the corner shop without wearing one now, otherwise I get fined. So things such as that, PPE, hand cleanser, that sort of stuff will continue on even after COVID, because we've now got an awareness. It was quite interesting. Most governments cut back disease control and preparation for that. I don't think that's ever going to, that's going to happen again after this. So, all things like that will continue, and cross-border trade, the UK shipped PPE from Turkey, in order to fulfill a need, because they couldn't get it locally. That will continue. Actually, that PPE was useless. It didn't conform to standards when they got it. That's another story. But yeah, that will all continue as we get on out of this. So the categories, such as the non-essential, the luxuries, I think that will be a little bit slower. We've got a lot of people unemployed now. That disposable income will reduce. So it's all about trying to get your offering, if you specialize in those products, onto more marketplaces, because it will continue, but it will be harder in the core areas where you've seen that previously.
So that's quite interesting, and yeah, so it's probably a question I'll ask Igor a little bit later on here with regards to those kind of luxury, because working in diamonds and things like that, I'd consider that a luxury purchase. So we'll come back to that one. I think that's quite an interesting question. So Dennis, I mean, what do you think is going to happen with e-commerce over the next month or two?
Well, I agree with Andrew, especially on the PPE side of things. Everyone's now has gone through this. There's going to be a general casual stocking up of these items. I think that's going to, anything along with safety or PPE is going to continue. But I think once you get past all that, there's a second wave because everyone's experienced being locked up at home. So what do I do at home if I've got kids? How do we function? How do we survive? And how do we pass the time away? So I think next to that is going to be educational materials. We saw a huge increase in our Brainy Baby brand that doing quite well. But during these times, everyone was looking for material to continue the education at home. So we saw a lot of that. We saw, diaper products, things like that. So I think, games, board games, that sort of thing. So I think in that category, there's going to be a lot of e-commerce activity of people storing up and stocking up for the next time, should this ever happen again. They don't want to be caught without anything to do with their family. If you're shut in, you can't go out, you can't even go outside, whatever. I mean, there's different restrictions in different countries and different states. So people are preparing for that as well. Overall, I think we're going to see just a rise in e-commerce just because people got more comfortable with it. I think they're looking for other ways to purchase, and try to get those essentials. I think the question to solve is, as Andrew mentioned, with Amazon only shipping out or restricting non-essential items, how do you get those items that you want for your family that are considered non-essential and still get that in time for your family? So I think that's a question that we probably need to look at.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think we kind of all agree that the online buying really is going to be the new norm going forward, and definitely has been like Igor said as well, big shift in how that's happened, and really accelerated that in a lot of places. So when we kind of look at these current new emerging opportunities, and looking to the future, what do you think the biggest emerging opportunities are, Igor?
So yeah, well, the jewelry, I might say, amazingly, Corona is not the only thing happening there outside. So there is a big revolution now actually in the jewelry industry, in the diamond jewelry industry. And the opportunity and the biggest switch that we see, because it's being having, it affects mostly on the logistics side, the jewelry industry. So the big opportunity is the localization. Mm-hmm. So this changing habits of purchasing on one side, and on the other side, there is a lot of limitation that happens now at offering items, offering the jewelry to people, because of the production is very much influenced by what happens. So there is a lot of opportunity if you have the ability to manufacture, and it's a big if currently in the jewelry industry, then actually this localization of all your efforts, and also even including simplifying your product line. I'll just give an example. If you're selling diamond jewelry, you can actually switch to semi-precious. Or if you're selling, let's say, gemstone jewelry, you can switch to only to a jewelry with no gemstone, create specific lines. Why? Because it simplifies actually your production, and it removes this dependence of from additional suppliers of gemstones, for example, or diamonds. Then the opportunity is into adjusting your product line and production and offering to what you can produce, and the localization.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Yeah, very, very interesting. And yeah, I guess it's kind of interesting. We kind of talked a lot about kind of Amazon and if you know what's happened over this period of time, and maybe from a logistics point of view, because you know you run a logistics business as well, there, Dennis. You know what's been kind of the big things for you over this period?
Well, I think from our logistics side, for us internally, just keeping up with the demand and being able to source products. We're in a unique position where we are sourcing and providing our own products that we developed ourselves, mainly in the children's educational and game industry and products. And then we service about 50 other clients with a variety of different products. All of them, we all have the same thing in common. It's how do we source and how do we find this material and how do we get it to our customers? That's been one of the biggest challenges. We have one client right now that is, you know, all their products coming from China are in quarantine. And one of our largest, I mean, they're shipping out 10 to 15,000 of these units a month. That's a big problem. So I think we're going to see those challenges. Again, it's the new normal, right? We talked about that. This is the new normal. It's never going to be the same again. So we've got to start making some adjustments all the way through the supply chain to marketing to sales and e-commerce. So I think some of the things we're going to be seeing is a storing up and stocking up of inventory, finding new alternate sources. Where do we find these products? Are they all going to come from China? Are we going to diversify and get them from other countries? And then we have to find a place to store them, and you have to have a fulfillment center that's going to be, you know, ready to pull them into action and get them through your e-commerce platform. So I think under the new normal, we're going to have to examine the entire process and figure out a way that's going to be foolproof if this should ever happen again. How do we continue to supply consumers?
Yeah. So I guess you're saying kind of having multiple channels as well, isn't it? Not relying on one particular channel for your logistics process. And, you know, Andrew, yeah, maybe you want to add a little bit more onto that. Yeah, especially around, you know, FBA obviously has been a challenge for a lot of people. And also, you know, for those who are trying to set up on there for the first time, you know, what are some of the challenges you've seen, or maybe even some solutions there that, you know, you see going forward?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So sourcing, I know a lot of people are interested in the sourcing question that are attending this town hall. You know, people were already looking for alternatives to China before COVID, and that means other countries have upped their game in order to produce that. So, you know, Southeast Asia is becoming quite Indonesia, Vietnam, depending on the vertical and the category that you're in. Turkey's great for automotive. Morocco, Sri Lanka is great for clothing and fashion. So you're then spreading your risk and not relying on just one source or one country. The same goes to marketplaces and outlets as well, okay? So, you know, it's not rocket science. There's two sides. There's sourcing and there's outlets to selling. You know, you need both to survive. So you need to spread that risk in order to do that. The same with fulfillment. You know, Amazon's successful because they make it easy. And once you're in the Amazon ecostructure, they make it the greatest upsell kings out there. You know, you use Amazon to sell on the platform, but you've then got to use FBA, otherwise you won't get up the rankings. And then you've got to go onto Amazon Prime, and then you've got to use Amazon advertising, and then, you know, and it's made to be like that. But there are alternatives, and it depends on what you're selling. It depends on the category you're selling in as well. You know, if there's a lack of inventory, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you're doing Amazon Prime or not, if you're the only one selling it. Yeah. So you've got to pick and choose your battles and then diversifying on different channels. So, you know, you look at the US, we've got Amazon, Walmart, Jet, Newegg, eBay. Okay. Australia, eBay's the biggest king there, although Amazon's coming. So, you know, and they have different customer bases. Yeah. Etsy, I forgot Etsy in the US. Yeah. Which is a very good for craft, jewelry. You know, I made my first purchase on Etsy there, you know, and it was so easy, you know, and it's something I could never find anywhere else, you know, last month. So you've got to think about all of that perspective as well. You know, just because you sell on one channel doesn't mean you've cracked the internet. Yeah, it's all about spreading that risk.
Yeah, and Andrew, I think that's also interesting. How do you do it? You know, so you know, we've kind of, I guess, talked a little bit through kind of where this has been changing, but you know, part of that is kind of the solution. So you know, for a seller that just sells on eBay today, or just on Amazon, or just on one platform, what are the kind of key steps that they need to take during this period to really make sure they're taking advantage of this change?
Yeah, so it's using this downtime on certain categories. It's gonna change, yeah, and it's gonna pick up. We're already seeing that now, yeah. People are getting used to it, and buying in those categories like technology, luxury, it's increasing again now. We've seen a return to that. So use this time to get ready for that, because you know and if you also think about it, to some respect, you know, our last recession was 2008, yeah, and the crash. Yeah, we've gone 12 years without that, and this is kind of, you view classes as a managed recession, if that makes sense. You know, governments are actually helping people as well. They didn't help people in the last recession, did they? You know, they helped the banks, yeah? Now they're helping businesses. Now, whether you know, that's right help, that's getting in the right place, that's another conversation. But we're all pulling together in order to try and recover out of this. So you use this time in order to actually get that and do that. So that's expanding onto different channels. Yeah, that's look at other options than FBA. And I'm saying FBA, yes, use FBA, no doubt about that. Yeah, but you've got to use it. You know, Walmart's a great, it's a great up and coming channel, but you can't use Walmart if you do FBA. So you know, look at other options there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And Igor, your kind of thoughts on that?
Sure. So what is interesting, so we saw, maybe also Andrew will nod his head, we saw different times in using multi-channel in different ways. So 10 years ago, you might see businesses opening 15 marketplaces and 15 sales channels, and using all of them, you know, just by pushing items there because it was the era of the products. So if we will compare, and it's an interesting switch, I just thought about it that 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, I was managing my Google AdWords account myself, because it was about my product, about, you know, the software that I'm producing, and it was the best software, and I knew that I will be able to use AdWords just to spread the word. So the big difference, and I think this is the big difference that happens in multi-channel world actually, that unlike 5 years ago or maybe 10 years ago, where your eBay was working because you were producing good products or providing a good offer, today it's much more technical, it's much more professional, and you have to be really an eBay professional, an Amazon professional, and Walmart whatever marketplace you choose. And this means that today going into additional marketplaces requires much more knowledge of the technology of the selling itself. And this means you will not be able to go to 15, but from what we see today, it's much more concentrating on the 3 to 5 most matching channels, not necessarily marketplaces, and then drilling it down. And this actually means profiling your own business, what works, what actually will work for your offering best, including the logistics, including your localization, including your customer services, and of course the product line. But then adjusting to this technology, which actually requires much more drill down on the marketplace, on the channel, and not on yourself, not on your products only.
And that's interesting, Igor, because I mean, you talk about, you know, where you used to do your own Google ads and things, and maybe this is probably maybe a question for Dennis. One of the other things that we've seen as part of these trends has been that, you know, we've got no conferences to go to, we've got nowhere to go and talk about our businesses. Everyone's going virtual, not only in the shopping, but also in kind of the marketing side of things. So for a lot of sellers, this becomes a challenge, you know, so keywords that we used to be able to, you know, be able to utilize out there for 40 cents on your kind of pay-per-clicks. The same words are now costing $4 because of the amount of competition out there. So when we talk about ways to embrace this and kind of solutions, how do you get around those type of things? And maybe Dennis, you can start off with that.
Well, that's a very good question, and I'm not sure if we've all figured it out yet. I mean, there's some new ways that we're going to be doing this. I think everyone's scratching their head trying to figure out what is that new way. There's all the traditional methods, you know, trying to communicate, trying to connect. We've seen a few other attempts. We've got some clients that started circumventing the system and then just started doing their own videos and getting them posted on YouTube and that sort of thing and get the word out. And so there's various ways. I think at the end of the day, the truth is, I don't think we've figured it out. I think it's evolving. And I think everyone out there is business owners and sellers are going to be very resourceful. Someone's going to come up with the idea and it's going to take over. But I think it's going to be a multifaceted approach. I don't think there's any one thing that we can do to correct it or one solution. I think it's going to be a multitude of solutions, and I think we'll soon see them in the next few months.
Mm-hmm. And Angie, your kind of thoughts on that, because there is a lot of money now being thrown at online. Yeah, so how do you split the right marketing budgets? How do you figure that out to get the best bang for your buck?
Yeah, and that's a really important question. And to echo, you know, some of Dennis's comments there, and this is one thing that we've been toying with as well internally, where we had quite an aggressive physical trade show marketing plan this year, which we just ripped up. You know, we've set the booth up in the office, so we don't put it to waste, but you know, we're the only people going to see it, if that makes sense. So yeah, so you know, you've got to tap into people using the internet, people online. Actually, it's quite interesting. Laptop and desktop usage has increased over this time, where it was moving towards tablet and mobile, which reflects that people are stationary and they prefer to browse on a bigger screen, but it's because they were at work, traveling, they were using their mobile devices. You know, also you've got to tap into, you know, you've got to look at your life, and you know, most people are actually follow the habits of what you do, you know, and you know, my family started a social family chat. You know, I've spoken to my sister more while I've been in this pandemic than I have in the last 10 years, because we're communicating and we've got more time, and we actually value things differently now, or we look at things in a different way. So social media is the facilitator of that, whether you're using WhatsApp, whether you're using Facebook, one and the same really, if you could say, Twitter, and then tapping as a business into that. You know, we've got more time to click on things and wonder and follow it through, yeah? As opposed to, you know, when we're busy traveling or we're busy at a desk in an office, we're clicking on things and we haven't got time to research. So, you know, I'd say try a few different things, you know, see what works. And then as you see some green shoots or results, that's where you invest, okay? And I think that's the best thing. And it's different for each vertical, I must say. You know, it depends on whether it's jewelry, it's clothing, it's automotive. You know, those type of buyers are different. And, you know, we could talk in an hour on buying patterns on that sort of thing. But yeah, you know, try little and then expand.
Cool, great. Okay, so over the next couple of minutes, and then want to try and get into some more questions really quickly. I guess, you know, ways to embrace these changes, final kind of sum up from, let's start with Dennis, then we'll go to Igor, and then for Andrew, and then let's get on some other questions.
Well, ways to embrace these changes. Well, it's a tall order, right? That's why we're having this town hall. I think we got to get back to the basics, review everything, look at everything we've done traditionally. This would be my prescription. Look at everything we've done traditionally, and how can we do it better, and assuming we can still use these same ways. And then we've got to look at the new innovative ways and define what are those. Again, I don't think they're completely defined yet. I think this is a good town hall so we can start getting this out on the table for the community. But then, you know, start defining what they are and start perfecting them.
Great. And Igor?
Yep. So I think that the work here is to create two types of strategies, because currently we know that things are changing, but nobody actually knows what will be in 3 months. And this is amazing. Normally we can create some strategies, long-term strategies, well, I would say for years. And the work here is to combine the short-term strategies with the long-term, because of the two focuses we have: one, to survive on the short term, and then the next one to blossom on the long term. So so from what we see, we get a lot of inquiries from for example, big companies reworking and rethinking. So one is to focus on what you have. It's amazing for me every time to see how people do not work correctly with their existing client base. This is something that every time when I see people having no CRM system, no even list of their clients, and not utilizing what they have, and always looking forward and forward and forward and expanding and doing new stuff without actually taking a look at what they have. If I'm a local store working there for 20 years and having 2,000 emails of my clients, then working on this client list, a very practical stuff, and actually focusing on getting the list of what we have currently, what I have currently, and how I can utilize it on the short term, and then what is my comparative advantage in the long term. So it's two parallel works, because it's clear that you have to reestablish yourself on the long term, but then on the short term, what I have now. And it's amazing that 90% of businesses do not handle this profiling correctly.
And Andrew?
Yeah, really to echo what my colleagues have said, I do believe that we will have a dip before the end of the year in this, where we're used to it. A lot of people have lost their jobs. They're getting support from the governments, and that will run out. And then we're going to start to get back to normal, and people won't have as much money to spend. So I think now is to use the time to get prepared. If, again, it's simple. If you're not offering things out to sale and not offering it to different areas around the world, then that's the first stage. Then it's about getting that offer right and the pricing right. And then it's about getting it to the client when they buy. People will still buy, but you've got to look a little bit harder, I think, towards the end of this year to find them, depending on the category you're in, of course, as well. So that's, again, it's spreading your risk with regard to that. The only other last thing I'd want to add on there, actually, Marketplace is a great low-cost start strategy as well. Yeah. So they come with customer bases. You don't have to spend X amounts of thousands of dollars on advertising, because they do that for you, and you pay at the sale. Okay. So once you've got the sale, and as long as your pricing is right and you've got all those stats done, then you pay once you've acquired the sale and the customer. So that makes a market, and then you can test other markets. You can test, eBay's great cross-border. Australia, great, they'll pay things high cost. Northern Europe, price isn't an issue there. It'll get you to markets where you find you're fighting and competing at the race to the bottom as well. So, use this time to prepare.
Great. So thank you guys for that. I think it's really, really interesting. And we've got quite a number of questions as well. So, I know we're probably got about another 5 or 10 minutes left on this call. So it'd be great to get through some of these really quickly and just to get some answers. So let's start with one probably for Igor. My studio producing one kind of jewelry and sculptures. How do I find my market?
Yeah, well, the same word profiling, of course, so it's a very general question. Well, for the one of a kind, obviously. So if, just to summarize, when I look at the large marketplaces, as we spoke, eBay, Amazon, and Walmart, and Sears, they're much more into, well, forgive me if I say it, mainstream items. So if it's a one of a kind, probably this is not the best place. So what I would recommend, of course, from the marketplace point of view, it would be probably Etsy and Amazon Handmade. At the same time, of course, to find who is your real client, let's assume that the person does not work for the last 20 years, then to find out who your users are, who your buyers are, and how they buy. Then, of course, the cross-channel, meaning creating the simple social presence, which would be, let's say, because it's a visual products, right? Jewelry and sculpture are visual products. Then it might be the Pinterest, and Pinterest works perfectly with Etsy. And then Facebook, and Facebook works perfectly with Amazon and eBay, and then probably going to Amazon Handmade. So, of course, it's a matter of trying, but one of a kind, it's more niche markets, identifying more niche marketplaces, and it's about community. The one of a kind items, they're about community. Community means social, means email marketing, and of course, even if it's next, the simple website, without creating great, performance website with a lot of technicalities inside, but creating some online presence so that your community knows where actually they can find you. So it's cross-channel, niche marketplaces, social, and at least the basic website.
Mm-hmm. So when you find that niche market, how do you grow it?
Well, how you grow? So yes, actually by growing your community, what is actually proven itself as the best for the designers, for the unique items, is always this social presence and this ripple effect, because the difference between the email marketing and social marketing is the ripple effect. Mm-hmm. If somebody who bought from you, so in this case, somebody who bought from you will most probably become your evangelist, because it's not a standard item. It's not the case when I buy a new T-shirt in Walmart and then I buy something for for a wedding, something for our anniversary. It's very engaged buyers. So then there is a high chance that they will become your evangelist, and then again, social. Mostly social, and learning very, very carefully how to use the PPC, the pay-per-click, the advertising, the paid advertising on social. And then Ruby Lane, 11 Main, there is a lot of local, more localized, more niche marketplaces to use them. Well, even that, and on the long run, unfortunately, we see that most successful on the scaling as Picasso, who actually produced 11 sculptures from his most famous sculptures. So here the same, creating some subline of repeatable products which allow you to explore more global marketplaces like eBay and Amazon and Walmart.
Mm-hmm. And Andrew, a couple of very short answers to some specific questions from you, but I know this is kind of more your space of things, I guess, is how long does it take, how long does the eBay listing optimization start to work? or bring results for eBay?
Okay, so short answer. Okay, when you launch a listing, it gets boosted naturally for 2 weeks. Okay, so it's important that you very quick change things, and it's all about how many people look at the listings, how many people buy those listings. Once after that 2 weeks, it drops down. You can artificially boost it with promoted listings. That's where you pay a higher amount on the sale. But that's a short-term strategy and there's a lot of people doing that. So it depends on the category as well. So if you're selling iPhones or iPhone accessories, there's a hell of a lot of people doing boosted listings on those. Yeah. So that's the thing. Now, a quick win, a really quick win, EAN UPC barcode. Okay. It's eBay made that a requirement 6-7 years ago, but they also gave you a get out of jail kind of catch-all by putting does not apply. If you do not put that, your item will not be populated on Google, okay? And 2.6 billion items on Google are eBay items. So if you want a double go at that, you should put a UPC EAN if you can't get it on the product. If you're sending a branded product, it's a known brand something. One, you can buy them, rent them. That's a quick win, okay? And that is all about throughput. You know, the more people visit your listing, the higher you're going to be up the rankings.
Great. And this is an interesting question. How can each one of you answer this in like A, B, C, or D is probably what we should do. But which one is more business sustainable between Amazon and eBay?
It depends on the vertical. Everyone, it's like circles of customers. Now those circles are getting closer and closer as we become more joined up in our purchasing. But automotive, eBay's #1 worldwide because they embraced the customer journey before anyone else did. Everything else is mostly Amazon, except when you get to places like China, which is Rakuten. You've got, other ones around South America, which are more prominent because they embrace the locality. Why do Apple sell their products everywhere? Because their customer base is everywhere. You can buy it in a store, buy it on a website, you can buy it on eBay, you can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it, on a retailer, because they know that if they're just in one place, they're just really, really narrowing their sale opportunity.
Yeah, and I guess jewelry is a whole different ballgame again, right? Because it's a different marketplace that you're talking about and different places to sell, Igor.
Oh, yes, of course. So the interesting thing that, it's very regulated, actually. So for example, if you're selling treated diamonds, you simply cannot sell them on Amazon. So you're out from Amazon. Or if your items are not certified above 75 points of diamonds, then you will not be allowed to sell them on Amazon. So there's, because of the high value and because of the high risk, actually, this is one of the most riskiest categories online. Because of this, there is a lot of regulation. You will see it in all the marketplaces. And one side, of course, you have to read the small letters if you're allowed to sell your items on Amazon, on eBay. Again, we're speaking, Amazon is about 50% of the e-commerce, right, in United States, and eBay is, even that it's 6%, still it's something huge. And I think that you have to just try to see if you match to both of them. But in jewelry industry, it's very specific what kind of jewelry you sell. So Amazon's, let's say, normal proposal is either below $1,000 items or above $20,000. So Amazon is quite nice luxury, but something between the $1,000 and $5,000 where eBay does a great work, it doesn't work on Amazon. So it very much depends. Again, it's about the profiling. There is no wrong and right. You have to check your logistics. You have to check your location again. and then to see where you're strong in, because part of Amazon is Amazon handmade. So it might be irrelevant for somebody who is, Amazon and eBay both might be irrelevant for some small businesses who cannot really provide good logistics, but Amazon handmade can be an entrance point into this game of the big brothers. So yeah, again, about profiling.
Yeah. And Dennis, how do you communicate your value at a time like this?
Another great question. Wow. Communicate value.
You're getting all the good ones, right?
Wow. I mean, you got to keep stepping up. I mean, you obviously all of your bullet points and things, testimonies, customer testimonies, videos, demonstrations. I mean, you got to pull out all the stops. You got to do everything you can, because obviously it's competitive, and you obviously have to convince that customer that they should be buying it from you. So I think this is a time during this whole new experience, and again, it's a new normal. And I agree with the whole team here. We've got to go back to basics. Start with what's in front of you. What have you been doing? What's traditional, and do them better. And then we can start looking at forward, what's new, and how do we innovate. So I think it's just a matter of doing what we've been doing, but doing it better and doing more of it.
Great. And we're really running out of time. So it'd be great to kind of get a 60-second summary. Can we keep you guys a 60-second? I mean, we could talk like this stuff for the next 5 hours. It's kind of living and breathing stuff. I know you guys talk and live and breathe this every day as well. So let's start with Igor, and then we'll go to Dennis, and then Andrew. Maybe you can wrap up on your kind of thoughts.
I'm not that good with a 60 seconds things. Yes, 60 hours probably would be better. Let's not count these seconds inside. Well, I would say that obviously online, we've got 10 years forward. We have to really get more focused on this. Create a short-term strategy. Do not get too fancy. Make simple things first. Because we don't know where we'll be in half a year and in 2 years. Use as much as more spread, meaning from multi-channel to cross-channel, from cross-channel to omni-channel, combining offline and online, and try. And we will see a lot of failures, by the way, in half a year. I'm sure we will see a lot of people who will not succeed. This is okay, but you have to try. You have to make the next move, because you simply cannot be where you are currently. Things are changing. That's it.
Great.
I didn't count the seconds.
I think you got one left. That was brilliant. Yeah.
You did good. You did good, Igor.
And Dennis.
I would summarize by saying I agree with Igor, everything he just said, but really we're all sellers and entrepreneurs. I mean, we've got it in this. You don't give up. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen a week from now, let alone 3 months or a year from now, and things can turn in either direction. So you got to be prepared for the worst and hope for the best. And in the middle of all that, you just don't give up. None of us do, right? Or we wouldn't be doing this. So I think it's a matter of just reviewing everything we've talked about today on this town hall, and just get more support and get more vigorous with what you're doing, because this is the time to cross the T's and dot the I's and make sure everything is in order.
Great, thank you. And Andrew?
Yeah, so I think out of all of this, online will be the biggest winner out of everything. And I think now is the time, if you're not selling online, you need to look at that, because we've been forced into it all the way around the country. If you weren't doing it, as I think Dennis mentioned, he's got elderly friends and relatives that are buying things online. I have my parents are over 80, they're buying things online and doing it with ease, and they're getting over that fear factor. So we need to capitalize on that. And just by doing it on one channel is not selling online. So it's about managing those different channels, so you spend more time sending things out that you've sold than actually administrating it. And you know, there's lots of people and lots of advice out there to help you do that. So I think, you know, that is a great opportunity. And the last thing I want to just point out is some reason why some of the sellers are doing so well is because they were first to market or first on the channel. So look at areas around the world. You know, we're so much more connected, both online and logistically. Costs have been driven down to send things. You know, we can't send a car at a good price, but we can send, you know, a £1 box really, really competitively. You know, I've got some clients that I work with that it's cheaper and quicker for them to send from Manchester, England to New York than it is from California to New York, because of the logistics and where the hubs are and where they are. So, you know, look at that. Keep your mind open. Start with the territories where they speak your language. Yeah, they're the easy one. And marketplaces are the place where it's low risk. Yeah.
And lastly on that, Andrew, as well, and over the next 6 to 12 months with, you know, what about China and bringing things into the US from China? You know, how do you see that playing out from a, you know, current economic climate and things?
Yeah, so I'm smiling because you've got a lot of third-party influences there at the moment. So you've got China capitalizing now. You know, everything was closed down. They were the first wave. They're kind of back to the normal thing. They're back to producing. So, you know, but then it's getting stuff out. And then, particularly with the US, I don't think this is the last we'll see about trying to restrict items coming in from China. You could see that happening before COVID. You had the trade wars going on. And you can see it, some of the, you know, the daily updates that the administration's saying is they're trying to protect the interest of trade in the country, in the US. So I think you've got to, if you just solely source from China, I would look at other sources that are periphery to that and look at that as an opportunity and not put all your eggs in one basket. That's an English saying, but, you know, sure it makes sense.
Cool. I think we're way out of time on this. I mean, it's so interesting, and I know you guys are really busy. So really appreciate taking the time out to spend with us today on this kind of town hall. And like I said before, you know, like we could keep talking this probably for the next 2 or 3 hours because it is fascinating and interesting time. So thanks again for spending the time, and hopefully the audience has found that valuable. Yeah, I certainly found it very interesting in kind of talking with you guys as well. Just before we do go, just to kind of, you know, hopefully people found this interesting, and we want to kind of continue this from an education point of view going forward. We've got a couple of other webinars coming up next week. So we have actually Greg Shankar from eBay P&A, kind of really more specific around automotive, who'll be on the 13th of May. And we also have Nate Smith coming on from Amazon Brand Services to talk about, you know, strategies to protect your brand on Amazon and thrive. So for those who are interested on eBay or interested on Amazon, we've got some other interesting discussions coming up over the next 7 days. So thanks again for your time, guys. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.